Welcome to the Career Ready podcast. Learn about resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn, interviewing, and all the things you need to be career ready with the Career Services Center at College of DuPage. I'm one of your hosts, Rebecca Harrington. Later in today's episode, I'm going to lead the conversation on how to start networking on campus.
And I'm your other host, Pierre Michiels. I'm going to start our episode today with some information about the NACE Competency, Career, and Self-Development. Our longtime listeners know that we like to highlight the National Association of Colleges and Employers and the competencies they identify as essential for career readiness. These competencies come directly from employers across the country representing a wide range of industries who share the skills they most want to see in new hires. One of the competencies that consistently rise to the top is career and self-development. NACE defines this as proactively developing yourself and your career through continuous learning, understanding your strengths and weaknesses, navigating opportunities, and building relationships inside and outside your organization. Or in other words, it's about taking ownership of your future and intentionally seeking out ways to grow. Beyond defining the competencies, NACE also identifies special behaviors that demonstrate it. Today, I want to highlight two that I think complement each other well. First, display curiosity and seeking out opportunities to learn, and seeking and embracing development opportunities. Let's start with that first one. Using your curiosity to drive your learning. Curiosity shows up in many ways. On the job, it may look like asking thoughtful questions or taking on new trainings because they interest you or help fill a skill gap. As a student, it might mean exploring topics outside your major to become more well-rounded. For a career development standpoint, curiosity can also mean talking with professionals in fields you're interested in and asking about their experience to gain insight from their perspective. Curiosity as a career tool is often the spark that leads to new opportunities. The second behavior, seeking and embracing development opportunities, can take many forms as well. Yes, it includes workshops and trainings, but it also includes being open to feedback from supervisors or faculty and using that feedback to grow. And just like the first behavior, development can come through conversations and connections with others. When you engage with people who have walked the paths you're interested in, you gain valuable insight from their experiences. Development through feedback and mentorship is one of the most powerful ways to grow. As you can see, these two behaviors are deeply connected. Both curiosity and development are happening through other people. You use curiosity to ask questions and learn from professionals, and you seek development by connecting with individuals who can offer guidance, perspective, and opportunities. That's why networking is so important. Networking isn't about collecting business cards or adding people on LinkedIn. It's about learning from others, asking thoughtful questions, and building relationships, all of which are demonstrations of career and self-development. So to help us think more deeply about what networking looks like in practice, I'm going to hand it off to Rebecca for more insight.
Thanks, Pierre. Thanks for really, I think, exploring why networking is so important and helpful. So let's talk about networking at college. So, when we think about networking, we often think about, talking to strangers at a party or something, but that really isn't all networking is. Networking is also more than just about finding a job, right? It's also, as you said, about building relationships that can help you learn, grow, and access opportunities. And some of the best people that can help you do that are professors, alumni, classmates, and even guest speakers that come to your college. They can all be valuable connections. Think of networking as planting seeds. The earlier you start, the more time these connections have to grow into internships, mentorships, and career opportunities. The other way I think about networking for students in their early time at college is that it's less stressful. All you're doing is making an effort to meet professionals and build relationships in a more natural way on campus. You aren't necessarily trying to get a job or internship right now, though, of course, if that opportunity presents itself, take it. But it's not a job interview. We're just meeting people and making connections that may be able to help us in the future. And hey, you might even be able to help them. We've often seen where employers are excited to get the opinions of young people and learn about what they're learning in school. That's helpful to them for the future. So let's talk about the different ways to network on campus or through your school. So number one, this is often we think about is career fairs and also your career services department. So your campus career center is one of the most powerful resources available. And I don't just say that because I work in a career services center on campus. But they often host career fairs, employer meet and greets, workshops. Even if you're a freshman, attend these events because employers appreciate students who show initiative early. So some tips for success. I think we've talked about some of these before, but let's rethink them. So research 2 or 3 companies before going to a career fair. Often you can find a list of who the employers are. And then prepare a short introduction, your name, your major, what you're interested in. And then come with some questions. Things like what qualities do you look for in interns, or what's something I should know about this career path. Career fairs aren't just about landing a job. They're about learning what companies value and practicing your professional communication skills. Pierre, any other tips you have for career fairs?
The big thing to think about for a career fair, and I think we'll expand on this a little bit more later on in this episode, but don't think of it as just the event, right? Mm-hmm. The preparation and all those things that you were just talking about, Rebecca, are extremely important, but the follow-up after a career fair really goes a long way. So try to get their contact information while you're there at that fair, and then send a follow-up, a thank you email, connect with them on LinkedIn, send a personalized message, help give them a reminder of your conversation. Trust me, they're going to be talking to a lot of people at these events. Not many actually follow up. So when you do that, it gets you remembered. Mm-hmm. So being able to do that follow-up and not thinking of the fair as just the one-time event provides a chance to continue that conversation long beyond that fair or that event.
Absolutely. And it could be that at the fair, you're meeting the HR person, right? And then maybe you follow up with them and then you could ask, hey, is there anyone in this department, right, that I would eventually want to work in that I could maybe meet with for an informational interview, right, where you're just going to go and again, ask them questions, be curious, right, about that career path and kind of help get you, better set up for that path. So yeah, I love that idea of following up after the career fair because so many people don't do that. All right, number 2 is student organizations and clubs. So joining student organizations is networking without all the pressure. These groups often host guest speakers, alumni panels, and industry-related events. They also help you meet peers who share your interests. I think this is one that I didn't do enough of in college, and I really wish that I had.
Yeah, especially in my undergrad, not enough, As I continued my education, took more advantage of it, but I didn't realize it early enough.
Yeah, absolutely. So things to think about how to do this. So join clubs that are related to your major or career goals. I think it's also great to join social clubs as well, or athletic clubs. Those are great. You'll meet good people there. And again, who could help you network. But also join those ones that are more specific towards your career goals. And then take it a step further. Volunteer to help at these events, right? And then as you go, you can even take on leadership roles to increase your visibility. And tip, if you're at a community college, you can often take on these leadership roles pretty quickly. Like second semester, all of a sudden you're vice president of, whatever club. And then you'll be the one inviting these professionals on campus. So for example, if you're a student in finance that joins the finance club and you went to a speaker series and you maybe connect with a VP from a major bank who came to talk, and that connection could even lead to a potential internship offer.
Yeah, that's a great example. I've seen that play out here on campus with our different clubs. I know our accounting club in the past has been extremely active, and they've invited people in to, engage. And those officers in the club, they have that extra in because they were part of that planning process. Not that other people in the club can't take advantage of it, but the more involved you are, the better it is, the easier it is to just kind of build off of that.
You have a natural thing to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And, just thinking of reaching out from that student perspective for these guest speakers, saying that, you're inviting them to campus, you're an ambassador, you're a student, it makes it very easy, as you were saying earlier, to be reaching out to these individuals.
Yeah, because you're not trying to make up a reason why you need to talk to them. Like, you have a reason. Absolutely. And then there is one more tip that I think we should talk about. If you're not the person inviting the people to the event, but you're just attending the event, make sure that you stay after.
Yep.
Why is it important, Pierre, for them to stay after the fact?
Also seen this play out many times, sometimes with those same events where the officers hang out afterwards and they chat up with those guests that came to campus. And then all the other people that attended just kind of take off. But a lot of times they're coming to campus not just for the presentation, but to meet the students. So they are building in time to network, and maybe there's actually tabling events after their guest speaking, and being able to go and just talk to them in this very non-stressful setting is a great way, not being an officer in a club, but taking advantage of the club, their work of bringing these people in, and then being able to connect with them.
Absolutely. I was just at an event at a high school, actually, and they had brought in, 4 speakers, I think most of them were even alumni of the high school. And afterwards, it was the speakers were all talking to each other, and then the students were just standing there like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, go talk to them. And, absolutely, like, there was a woman panelist, and she was so excited to meet the women that were girls that were in the club. And she took a picture with them and met them, and all of them interacted and were so excited. And it was interesting because one, during the talk on the panelist talk, had even said, last year I met a student who is now an intern with us. So it's like, yeah, they want to meet you. So go meet them.
Yeah. Like, we're talking about networking here. And a lot of times networking, that term just drives people away. Right. But as Rebecca's going through these different ideas, these are low stress, they're on campus to talk to you.
Right. They've already said, yes, we're interested in talking to you. They've already gone through the vetting process. So take advantage. And not everybody does. So be the one that does. All right. Let's talk about another group of people we can reach out to, and that is our professors. Faculty, right? They're more than just teachers. They're also professionals with networks. Many of them have industry experience or connections with alumni and employers. So again, this is another group where I didn't do enough of this when I was in college. So I want to spare you that, right? So here's how you can build better relationships with your professors. Attend office hours. It doesn't have to be every day or every week, but go, even if you don't necessarily have specific questions about homework, just go and visit, check in, maybe make up a question or just ask them about themselves, right? Ask about their career path, their research interests. Again, even if you're not at the point where you're doing that yet, you're going to learn so much about what you might want to do or not do. And if they have an opportunity that comes along, they're going to remember the students that's been asking them about that. And express genuine curiosity about their work, for sure. And notice I didn't say ask them for a connection or a job reference, not right away, right? Eventually you're going to be able to do that. Or like I said, they may even offer it, but we start with just the relationship so they can get to know you and you can get to know them professionally, of course, right? What do you think, Pierre?
Yeah, I think that is a great point. Really, that relationship building with faculty, but anyone that you're networking with, it is really about building a connection for the long term, being able to engage with them based out of curiosity and being able to just have conversations and not be so driven on, oh, I need to get an internship. My faculty can refer me to something, right? They probably have those connections, and they may be happy to do that depending on if you're demonstrating yourself as a good student. But you don't want to just be using them, right? You want to be building up this relationship, building this rapport. I know you said, keeping it professional, which I completely agree with. But sometimes these faculty, right, you build up such a relationship with them, it goes beyond that student, faculty relationship. And over time, right, they're asking alumni to come to campus.
Yes.
That could be you in a few years because of that long-term relationship. So being able to just build that can really make it meaningful and impactful in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. All right, next one, alumni networks. Now, this one is a little trickier, right? But I think helpful. So alumni often love helping students. I always say, picture yourself, right? 10 years from now, someone from your school reaches out to you and, wants to ask you questions or wants to invite you on campus. No part of you is thinking, I'm going to be offended or upset that they asked me, right? I mean, you may not have time. You might be too busy, but you're not going to be upset about it, right? So again, especially, all professionals, but especially alumni are happy to help. They've been in your shoes and they often want to give back, right? Most schools have alumni directories or a LinkedIn group, something that you can use to find these alumni. And then many alumni events happen on campus. So they're invited back to be on campus and, receive an award or, some sort of event that they're doing. Attend these for free food, great conversations, potential mentors. It can be a great way to make those connections. And often the professionals invited by student clubs on campus are alumni, right? So that's another way to meet them. And again, they're great connections because they have a personal connection and a desire to help students at their alma mater. As you move further into your education and you're starting to look for internships, alumni can be a great group to reach out to for what we call quote unquote cold networking, right? So reaching out to people that you've never met before, but the thing about them being alumni is that they're not going to be completely cold, right? Because you have a connection to them. And we'll someday, I think we'll probably do another episode of more specifically about reaching out on LinkedIn, but some basic things to keep in mind is keep your message short and respectful, right? And, say something like, hi, I'm a sophomore studying marketing. I'd love to hear more about your career journey and any advice you have. Right. And then maybe give them ask if they could meet, next week on, give them a couple days. Right. Pierre, what else do you think about with alumni?
Yeah. So the idea that we're reaching out to alumni is because of that common school. Right. So that is a great starting point. But are there additional commonalities that you could be tapping into?
Good
right?
point.
To say that, you're going to COD and they attend a College of DuPage as well, right? That's helpful. But maybe they actually studied the same program that you're studying. Well, that just makes it even easier. Or maybe they didn't study at COD, but through your research, LinkedIn can make this very easy. You see that they studied what you're studying or wanting to get into at a different school, right? It doesn't always have to be directly to that school, right? But the more you can tap into, the easier it will be to make those connections. So are they expressing different passions on LinkedIn? They have the causes piece of the profile. Is there certain things in there, different work settings or companies that they're at and that you are following that you're really interested in, right? You may not have that commonality yet, but you can really express some of those interests. So the more of that you can build off of, the easier it is for them to say yes. Right. As you were saying earlier, Rebecca, they're not going to get your message and say, oh, how dare they reach out to me? They may say, oh, I'm busy. I can't get back to that right now. But the more of this that we can incorporate, the more we can personalize, the more likely they are to say yes, to set aside the time to say yes.
Yeah.
Some additional things I would encourage someone to think about is what company are they at? Do you have targeted companies? Try to find alumni at those companies. What's their job title, right? Are they doing work that you want to do? Have they done work you want to do? Also thinking about, are they a little bit more elevated in the company, especially if you're networking for a purpose, trying to get that job, not just to learn, right? Those that have elevated job titles, they actually may have more availability to set aside in their schedule to have these conversations. But also, they're probably more likely to say yes if you are asking if there's availability of an internship, right? They're at a level to know that.
Right. Yeah. Decision makers,
yes. Right. So pay attention. Like, are they like a supervisor or manager or different things like that is what I mean with the job title. But also looking at their work history, right? Now, I kind of hit on this already, but have they done the work that you want to do? So maybe they're in a different role now, but they did what you're thinking about. And then to get that conversation going and hearing how they evolved and moved and advanced as a professional can be really helpful in your understanding and career planning as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, to connect to the faculty piece to the alumni piece, often faculty might be the ones to give you a name of an alum that they think would be good for you to talk to. And then that makes that connection so much easier because you can say, I'm this person, I'm studying at this school, and Professor so-and-so suggested that you might be a great person for me to talk to learn more about whatever. Oh, there it is, right?
Another great piece of common ground, right?
Yeah.
Getting that referral and being able to name drop is always helpful.
Absolutely. And, also some other things, if you're on the newspaper or playing football or, some of those other things, if this alum also did those things, great connections to shout out. All right, let's go to the last one here. And this really kind of it's just a little bit more general, but it's similar to things that we've been talking about, which is just campus events and guest speakers. There's times where people will come on campus that maybe isn't necessarily for a particular student group or for a hiring event, but the college offers guest lectures or panels or workshops. And these can be nice, low pressure networking opportunities. Maybe they bring someone to talk about a book that they just wrote or to talk about a particular topic. And again, you're there, you will learn, and you can also introduce yourself afterwards. And a pro tip, I think, for this one is to ask a question. If there's a Q&A session, this definitely gets you noticed and gives you a natural reason to follow up afterwards, right? Thank you so much for taking my question. I appreciated your answer. Maybe ask a follow-up. They will probably they'll be so excited a student asked them a question and showed up. They're going to want to, tell me more what you're studying, all of that. And some extra tips here. Start small, right? Maybe aim to just meet one new person. I mean, maybe it's even you go to this event and there's people in the audience. Maybe someone you're sitting next to is a faculty or, someone in the community that could be good to know. And of course, as Pierre said earlier, make sure you're sending follow-ups, right? Get their name, find them on LinkedIn. If maybe they'll give you a business card so you get their email, whatever you can do to solidify that question or that connection. And of course, be curious. Networking is about learning, not always just asking for favors, especially in the beginning.
Yeah, all great information. Just making sure that you're not overthinking it is what I want to add here because going to this idea of asking a question. Sometimes we hesitate to ask a question because they're like, they're going to think it's stupid. Well, they're here to share that information. And if you're asking a question, what that shows to them at this stage is you're thinking about it. Yeah. Because no question means that they take that as, disengaged, right? That's how I experience it. Whenever I'm giving a presentation, I'm out in different ways and I don't get questions. I would like to think it's because I did a great job sharing all this information. But normally I'm thinking they're not interested. They're disengaged. They don't like what I'm sharing. So any question can be a good question. Don't overthink it. Right? Being able to just put yourself out there. I know it could be very intimidating as we're talking about this, but any little bit goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, your college has brought this person on campus because they believe they are a quality person that has good information, and absolutely, they want to know that you're interested.
Well, thanks for breaking all this down, Rebecca, and thank you to all our listeners for joining us for this episode. We hope you have a better understanding of the impact, the power, steps to take when networking. There was no listener question in today's episode, but if you have a question you want to hear answered in a future episode, you could submit to careerpodcast@cod.edu. As we end here, we encourage you to join us for our next episode for more information to help you be career ready.